Hi, folks. Welcome to Follow the Leader, a podcast focused on telling character-driven stories through the use of GM-less tabletop games where we can all take the lead. You can find us on Tumblr at FTLcast and at FTLcast.com. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast. Today, we're playing Dead Friend, a game of necromancy by Lucian Kahn. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. Dead Friend is a collaborative storytelling game for 2 players. Each plays the role of one friend, one living and one dead. They ask and answer questions to develop the characters, their community, their history together, and the motivations leading up to their final conflict. The script follows the dramatic structure of a necromancy ritual, and players use a spellbook of instructions throughout the entire game like a witch reading spells from an ancient grimoire. The mood may be spooky or intimate, heart-wrenching or hilarious. It's up to the storytellers to decide. Although players may desire certain outcomes, the goal is not to win, but to create an intriguing tale of friendship, loss, and diabolical magic. I'm Corey, and you can find me at cohost.org/missinghim. My pronouns are he, him. Playing with me as my alternate, we have August.
Hello, I am August. You can find me on Tumblr at Strange Harpy, on Blue Sky at Harpydora, and on itch.io at Harpydora, and my pronouns are they, them.
Nice. Our lines, which are things we absolutely do not want to see, are homophobia and transphobia, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, violence against children and animals, sexual assault, domestic violence or intimate partner violence, unwanted pregnancy, plagues, and pandemics. Our veils, which are things we're fine with addressing but we'll just fade to black on, include steamy situations, graphic descriptions of bodily harm, and terminal illness. Now that we got all that, let's roll.
Woo!
Okay, so here in front of us, to describe what we're looking at, we have not only a spell book, which is the game materials, but also a pentagram on it. We've done a little bit of setup on there. It's got different points of power. We've got names that we got to put on there. We've got coins. It's a great physical looking game too. But before we even get there, it looks like we've got some things that we need to decide first. So, where we have here, we need to actually first prepare for the ritual that faces us. So it looks like where we need to start is figuring out what our exact setting is. And we've had just a little bit of chat for it, but I don't know, how you feeling? Is this in nature? Is this in kind of that wandering, like out there sort of rural spread out setting? What are you thinking today?
I think this is kind of formerly pastoral, like, you've got a little bit of rolling hills, you've got some grass, you've got some rural villages that are scattered about that we've maybe wandered through, but the grass isn't as green as it used to be, and even though there's magic in the world, some of it is of a little bit of a darker nature than some of the inhabitants of the world would like.
Oh, of course, and maybe even than some of them are aware of. So
Yeah.
I noticed that you said formerly pastoral. Does that mean we're more towards like an urban place? Have we started to see more signs of civilization? Is there like paved roads and such?
Yeah, I think maybe that we're getting towards the edge of more urban. Like, we're not in urban yet, but we're seeing the signs of, more paved roads, more brick and mortar.
Okay. Yeah, we see stables and other sorts of things, just like things that tell you you're on the limits of a city, but you're not like dead smack where all the buildings are. That makes sense. I can't believe we're in suburbs. No, it's fine. I know it's not that. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then, like, I guess it's the question too is like, are we residents of this place or are we passersby? Honestly,
I think it's more fun if we're not native here, if
nice.
we're newcomers to the area.
I think that's good. Yeah, I like being transient to the region
Yeah,
because it could be we got caught up in something nasty on the way around too. So
yeah.
nice. We have I say in quotes cheated a little bit because we're drawing on old material for characters. I've picked up uh Tuesday from the old Wanderhome setting. I say old, it's not really that old. And you've chosen Parker, right?
Yes, I've chosen Parker, also circa Wanderhome.
Yeah. So this is the darker, edgier rehash. This is their mid 2000s to early 2010s reboot.
Yep.
Including Necromancy and Darkness, I guess. But for a reminder on Tuesday's end of things, within Wanderhome at least, Tuesday was a living whippoorwill with a sort of poet background. I choose to interpret this in this setting as still most of the same things, like cloak sewn full of pockets, more obscure and formal in terms of general countenance, but generally actually more towards the pithy romantic side. So a lot more sentimental than folks would give them credit for, based off of their writing. Here, same general outfit, like a cloak full of pockets, all loaded with like cigarettes. They're just utterly ruddy with it. A battered briefcase, a nice cap. In addition to that, I think they have a satchel with their new ritualing here that's just packed to the brim with notes. Some good, some not. Scraps torn from books. You know the drill. I think that's the kind of mindset that Tuesday is operating in. How about Parker? How's Parker looking?
So I think since we said circa Wanderhome, Parker's an African fat-tailed gecko person, generally sunny demeanor, has like a newsboy cap. I don't remember if that happened in Wanderhome, but it's happening now.
Nice.
And sort of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, usually very excited to see the world and see what's happening. But that kind of changes when you're in the situation Parker's in right now.
Yeah, so this is the funny thing that we've decided. We've decided that Twos is the one who gets to be doing the necromancing, and Parker is the one that will be necromanced. So
Yes.
very funny in the core concept of this game, which I'm gonna say the living and the dead, they don't exactly have the same goals here.
No.
We do have to decide what they are. We've got a set of motivations to go off of here. I mean, for here, it's recommending like the magician or the tower front off. But how you feeling? Like, is this how's Parker feeling against Tuesday? Is this a directed sort of issue, or is this a general sort of issue that Parker's working through here?
I'm kind of leaning towards the tower, honestly, because since this is the darker, edgier 2000s reboot, I'm kind of thinking that there is a specific person or group of people that are directly responsible for Parker's death. That, like I said, in the 2000s reboot, Parker might not be happy with.
That's fair. Yeah.
So if you're down with that, then we can go with the tower motivations.
Absolutely. Let's rock. So for reference, as I mentioned, the two motivations are different here. The living states, you wish to say a final goodbye to your dead friend, which I think fits twos perfectly. I feel like they would do that. The dead, I mean, you can read that free, please.
Yeah, so from Parker's end, from the dead end, you wish to return from the dead and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
So
great. Lovely.
Yeah, just have a little revenge as a treat.
As a treat. Yeah.
As a treat.
You know, very necessary. So as we roll through, it looks like each of these different sections, we run through various rituals as part of the book, sort of alternating between what the living and the dead do here. Since I'm the living, I get to have some fun things first. We're, of course, playing this virtually, so some of these physical steps we'll have to sort of abstract or imagine. Where we start off here, well, first, I guess we should list our motivations, shouldn't we? So, what happened? Play to find out, right? Right. So, first off, for this ritual, we need to head through earth and through water. That means that I need to set the scene here. So, join me in the mind theater here for a little bit. As the living, we have to place the magic circle in the center of the table, which we have done here on our Roll20 instance. Here I would sprinkle a large circle of salt around the paper for protection, or mime it, I guess if you don't want to make a mess. As Tuesday sets up, I think what Tuesday is doing here is they've built in a sort of area, a nest high up, a platform where they could do this ritual undisturbed, sort of gathering, thieving, or whatnot from the surrounds. Because we're just far enough away from the city, I think Tuesday has been mostly unbothered, maybe regarded strangely because, they were a pretty fairly chatty person. They tend to go about trying to get material from others. So this new event has brought some quiet to them. Here I'd place a pen near myself, one more for the dead. We have a circle coin, which is a large one, at the top side of the circle. This pentagram is oriented upwards, the topmost point at the top of the pentagram. It is touching the word east here. We have a star coin, which is a small coin, which is heads up on the altar section, which is on the southern side of the pentagram within the circle. So, first off, I'm preparing to perform a dangerous ritual of necromancy as twos. I've somewhat described the scene here, which is, like I mentioned, high up in a tree on a wooden platform, undisturbed, with bits and bobs scattered about in preparation for actually performing this. For the time, I think this is actually broad daylight. Because twos is high up, they don't necessarily care about being seen. They also aren't worried necessarily about the consequences of being seen. Given that, they're also completely out in the open. The wind is going, the breeze is blowing. For what they can see, hear, and smell, I think there's distant sounds of civilization, of people rolling by on the road below, clueless. Hearing is sort of a gentle breeze, that pastoral sound. Nothing that's really overly disturbing. It's just trotting, maybe mumbles of conversation as people pass by on the road. For smell, it's whatever's carried on the wind. I think where Tuesday is set up is probably somewhere comfortable. Probably not too far down the road is the smell of baked bread flowing. Just distantly, gently caressing as it passes by, as they sprinkle the salt and prepare the circle accordingly.
Mm.
With that, the living passes on to the dead.
So I died recently and I'm new to the realm of the dead. I think that the realm of the dead is a bone white sandy beach. I think there's water that's so dark it's almost black lapping at the shore. There are distant cries of birds that don't sound like anything that I recognize from the mortal realm. There's not so much a smell here as the memory of a smell. This is the land of the dead, senses don't quite matter as much, but there's the memory of sea salt and seaweed from a time that I was at the beach long ago.
Okay. Back to the living here. I would place my right finger on the star coin. At some time before dying, I received an important object from Parker, represented by the coin which I would have my finger on. I think that this object would be a collection of beads from Parker. Not necessarily the shiniest, not necessarily the most valuable, but that with the most memory. I think Tuesday would have gathered them up and formed them into a small sort of bracelet, which they place there upon the altar, treating it very gingerly as they draw it from their cloak of pockets towards one over their heart, and just sort of carefully draping it into where the altar would be. within their circle. Here we see the coins are ritual objects. Over the course of the ritual, the circle coin travels around the circle, visiting each of the 4 cardinal directions. At the same time, the star coin travels to each of the 5 points of the pentagram. Together, these 2 coins mark both the passage of time as well as the character's journey through the elements. So, whenever the circle coin moves around the circle, if we were here and together, we'd be humming softly. And whenever the star coin moves to a different location, that would prompt the dead to state a word from beyond, followed by a single word. Some examples they give here are a word from beyond, moonrise, or a word from beyond, betrayal, which I think allows the dead to set the tone of these movements. We start with the Ritual of Earth. The title here states, the living and the dead remember their shared community from before the death. So, here I'd start by invoking the earth. I invoke the earth with these 3 motions. First, to form an invoking pentagram of earth, I'd place my finger on the spirit point of the pentagram, moving towards earth, and then trace the entire pentagram with my finger. There's a lot of these motions that I've noticed throughout the book where you trace that star. I'm doing this physically since doing it with the cursor is kind of awkward, but sort of meant to do a gesture of evocation. Next, we'll move the star coin to the earth point of the pentagram, which I think means that you get to say a word.
A word from beyond. Incapable.
Oof, incapable. Next, we'll take the star coin and slide it around the circle counterclockwise to the north, the cardinal direction of Earth. Okay, for this one, I need the diamonds, discs, or pentacle suit. The nice thing about this is you can use, your normal decks, or you can use tarot cards if you so choose. We've chosen to go with just your standard deck of 52, split out into 4 suits. I think I may not have the permissions to shuffle this, so I'll have to rely on August for this one. But
I shuffled.
Cool. With this, once it's shuffled, we'll both draw 2 random cards and take a look at them. So I'll go ahead and grab 2, and then you may grab 2 as well. Okay.
And there.
Nice. So, taking turns, we'll briefly describe 2 people in the shared community using the prompts in the Earth legend that correspond to cards we've drawn. With this, we'll write each new character's name and traits in one of the designated spaces around the pentagram. For reference, we have 4 in total. So, let's have a look-see. Well, you want to alternate?
Yeah, you go first.
Sure. I'll start. So, first off, I have the 2 of diamonds. This represents someone enthusiastic and confused. Whoa, what's in a name? I'll give this one the name of Bonnie.
Okay.
I think Bonnie here is someone that's well-meaning, but as we all know, those who mean well can cause the worst at times. If they involve themselves too closely, or if they come to help too readily. I think Bonnie was probably one of the first people to welcome both Tuesday and Parker into the community that we're in right now. I think they're also sort of a central touchstone, someone that most people look towards. Not necessarily because of their guidance, but because of their affability. I think they're very friendly. I think they're very welcoming. But I also think that most people, although they enjoy having Bonnie's company, do find Bonnie to be a bit out of touch with things. Not in a way that suggests that they are lacking in self-awareness or that they have a hard-nosed view on things, but just head in the clouds, kind of out of touch. Easy for people to approach, but getting a trace on them or getting a good opinion out of them is a difficult task at times. Poor Bonnie. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
As for what they are, I would say let's call Bonnie a raven.
Okay. So I drew the Jack, which is someone principled and determined. I think this person's name is Starling. I think she is a local councilwoman, like someone who ran for city council because she saw like mismanagement in the way that the community may have been being handled. So she was like, darn it, I guess I'll have to fix it myself. And so she ran for city council and has been doing her best to like clean up crummy ordinances, better public works, that kind of thing. And I think she is a stoat.
So the other one that I have here, that's an ace. The ace depicts someone mystical and intimidating. Honestly, I think it'd be really funny if this is the person that taught twos this ritual.
Ooh, yeah.
What would a name be for that? We'll say Guinevere.
Okay.
What's in a name after all? Ace of Diamonds. I think this is someone who lives on the fringe out here by choice. It's not that they've been exiled. I think they set up so they have access to things from the outside. And so they have the ability to practice and expand or contract their practice as needed. Where people go to folks like Bonnie or Starling for the earthly, I think they head to Guinevere for problems or issues that may not necessarily be resolved just within the ken of the machinations of those who live or those who walk the earth. I think this comes by way of invocation, this comes by way of ritual, this comes by way of natural medicines. Guinevere, I think, is an institution in the way that they have been and into a length of time that folks are not necessarily even aware of the full span of. I think grandmothers, mothers, and daughters all speak of the existence of Guinevere just there and eternal. I think Guinevere is a toad in this case.
Okay. And my final community member is a 3, someone humble and helpful. I think this person's name is Parson.
Parson, let's go.
And I think he is a calico cat. I know calico cats are usually female, but transness exists. So, I think he was born in this community. Everybody knows that if you need a helping hand, I think it's, I don't know, because that feels like a little bit of overlap. But maybe that's okay. Maybe Parson and Bonnie are like two sides of the same coin, where it's like, you know, Bonnie's trying to help where they can, and don't always actually help, but Parson is somebody reliable that you can go to, and he'll give you the shirt off his back. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Like, you have one person which you go to sort of hear things out, and you have one person to go to who actually solves the dang thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you just need an ear and someone to jabber away, and sometimes you do need hands and a back.
Cool.
Okay. Right. We have now marked these 4 as part of this pentagram, from Bonnie to Starling to Guinevere to Parson. With that, now we move to the dead.
So these memories are beginning to stir up the environment in the realm of the dead. What changes are developing around you? And I think I'm wandering this beach, and as I wander this beach, I come across a sandcastle. But the sandcastle is super close to the surf, and so it's being slowly eroded. But the sandcastle is in the shape of several buildings from the community. Like maybe I recognize Town Hall being there, and maybe I recognize Bonnie's residence among the crafted sand sculpture. But it's just slowly being eroded by the surf.
As Tuesday completes the ritual of Earth, their body feels somehow different. I think for Tuesday, it's this has been something weighing on them for a while, enough for them to go and seek spiritual guidance to do something this drastic. At first, it was apprehension, followed by not necessarily fear, but a duty to perform these steps properly. I think now that they've started to feel the signs of a change in the air, their focus is drawn inwards. They've honed. They feel the current as it flows. They feel in touch, even through the separation from the ground, with the earth below. And with that rooting, they're prepared to move on to the next steps. With that, we come to the ritual of water. Like a eulogy, the living and the dead remember the details of their friendship. So, another invocation. As a living, I'll invoke water with the following 3 motions. So first, to form an invoking pentagram of water, I'll place my index finger on the air point of the pentagram. Then moving towards water, trace the entire pentagram with my finger. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've made the motions. Next, we'll move the star coin to the water point of the pentagram. And that prompts?
A word from beyond. Sunshine.
Sunshine. Nice. Third, I will slide the circle coin around the circle counterclockwise to the west, this being the cardinal direction of water. Okay. Now, as a living, we'll need to access the Hearts suit of cards.
Yep. I got you.
Thank you. With Hearts, we'll each draw 1 card, look at it, and then describe a past scene from our friendship that corresponds to the prompts provided in the Water Legend. The spellbook notes that although this scene is primarily about Tuesday and Parker here, it should also include at least 1 community member from the paper. We'll feel free to embellish the story with descriptive details. So, let's each draw 1 card.
Yep.
Okay, I've got it in hand. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Right, so here I have drawn the Jack. Interesting. The Jack indicates that at some point in time, Tuesday was jealous of Parker. I'll put this one out a little bit. Who do you think Parker got along with the best out of our cast of 4 here, outside of Tuesday?
So what immediately springs to mind, because you said that Tuz learned this necromantic ritual from Guinevere. What if there was a point where, like, Guinevere was favoring Parker over Tuesday, despite Tuesday's, like, I don't want to say apprenticeship, but, schooling, studies.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think this makes total sense. So Tuesday, here, being who Tuesday is, they were trying to get stories, information, otherwise out of Guinevere. Specifically because Guinevere had been around for so long, I think Tuesday came searching for inspiration and sort of fell into wanting to experience some of what Guinevere had to offer. Of course, because Parker was there too, I think it's fair to say that Parker may have gotten drawn in. I think between the 2 of them too, like, Parker generally has, if not a more open mindset, a generally fresher one when it comes to things. Tuesday comes in with opinions formed, with experiences beyond, with a whole chronicle behind them. But I think with Parker, and, step in if I'm wrong here, I think Parker has more of a, not tabula rasa necessarily, but approaches things sort of piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
Experiences completely anew. So I think that Guinevere took to that much more, specifically because, especially when it comes to teaching things like these, you have to operate somewhat against like institutional knowledge or experiences and really go back to more intuition, to inner emotion, to evocations that if you are approaching it with an expectation or a societal kind of basis may feel silly or may reduce the effectiveness because your heart isn't fully into it. And I think in this case, Tuesday felt that jealousy over the sort of openness or the acceptance or that lack of restraint on Parker's end, but also, of course, towards the favor that Guinevere showed to Parker.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I drew the 5, which is your friend chose someone else over you. I want to involve Parson somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pitch you this.
Sure.
What if Parson is a musician
Sure.
and offered to write songs for some of Tuesday's poetry?
Okay.
And there may have been an instance where, Tuesday and Parker were supposed to do something, but Parson is like, "Hey, I've got a concert tonight. Let's get together and jam a little bit, and I can sing a song based on some of your work at that concert." And Parker's like understanding and goes to the concert with Tuesday, but feels a little bit stung. But if that doesn't vibe with you, let me know.
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, like I feel like for Tuesday, the poetry is the craft, right? That's the reason why Tuesday wanders about searching for inspiration in the first place. So finding someone that is totally willing to take their words and put them forward in performance to interpret them, I think, yeah, they totally would have blown Parker off over that. Just for sheer like wonder or fascination with that as an idea. And I think also like bringing Parker along and kind of not really reading the room on that earlier too may have made that more evident, if anything. Okay. With this, we'll need to repeat part C, but we'll have to include a community member who's not been part of a water memory. So we've got Starling and Bonnie left.
Yep.
So let's draw. I think we can also include someone else at the same time, so it doesn't have to be just one person at a time.
Yeah.
And I see that you've already got a card up in your hand, so.
Yep.
What have you got, my friend?
I drew a 4.
Cool.
You reassured your friend about an insecurity. I think Bonnie just doesn't get it.
Oh.
Like, I think when Tuesday is trying to collect stories, or when Tuesday is trying to compose, Bonnie is a little bit of not a fly on the wall that has negative connotations, but just like Bonnie just kind of flits about, but they just don't get it. Like, what's the point of all of this? I'm happy you're happy, I guess, but I just, aren't there other things you could be doing with your time? And I think the first time Bonnie says this rattles Tuesday a little bit, and it's just like, wait a minute, what if they're right? And Parker is like, no, what you're doing is really important. Like, stories are important. Keeping people's stories alive is something that is well worth doing.
Yeah. Nice. And with that, I have the the 9 of Hearts. Your friend defended you against someone. I mean, we're new to the community. I can easily see us drawing issue from like the establishment, not necessarily in like a getting mucked out kind of thing, but we're just not used to the rituals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of what's happening here and like how we deal with being in the area. I think in this case, Tuesday just got a little too into it, like invaded on some like a not necessarily private, but like work, right? Of a ceremony within like a town hall gathering of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
where business needed to be put forward, and just approached it from a different vibe. And so when it came time for like quote for the people to speak up, I think Tuesday started asking a lot of questions, and a lot of those questions started to rattle folks inside. I think it wasn't necessarily like a lack of pathos, but just they were approaching it from wanting to know, and some of those matters were sensitive, and the people did not necessarily want to talk about it. Parker, I think, is better at understanding emotions in the room in this case. I feel like Parker would have served as a mediation or as almost a barrier to interpret the questions that Tuesday was putting forward, to kind of one, wave them off of continuing to push, but also maybe with making sure that both of their reputations remain intact in this very public space.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Starling is one of the people who was offended at first?
Yes. Yeah, I would say Starling, being at her position within that council, probably took umbrage to this at first, may have even been the one driving back the hardest, and
Mm-hmm.
had to be sort of talked down and settled back into an understanding.
That makes sense. Cool beans.
Now then, since we have touched on points on where everyone in the circle here was involved, we'll repeat this part C again, but build on the existing stories in the cards prompt however we wish. And then once after that, you would repeat part C, but place the card face up near the circle of salt, which would foreshadow motivation in the central conflict. We have our cards. I think we can place them out, right?
We have to draw a new card, don't we?
Oh, do we? Okay, let's draw a new card. Yay, learning as we go. Let me take this back up into my hand then. If I can.
Yeah, because part C is we draw one card and we're repeating part C.
Right. I see. Okay, let's draw another then. Okay. Here I've got the 6. It states that my friend helped me with a problem. Tuesday is receiving a lot of things today, it looks like.
Yeah.
Not a lot of external, a lot of internal. Okay. So, looking at what we've had thus far, Guinevere's been mentoring Parker, but Parson, on the other hand of things, has been working with Tuesday. Tuesday's also been fending off sort of inquiry from Bonnie, and has been leaning rather heavily on Parker in a lot of ways, especially now. I think what's been happening is Tuesday, being that sort of inquiring sort and working, has been causing a bit of a ruckus with everything that's been happening. Everything's kind of swirling together. Everyone's kind of tying into a big knot. I think what it is Tuesday has been helping Parson along a lot with performance, probably helping them both with their own popularity within the settlement. And that's been drawing more attention. But I get the sense that Parson, ever in practicality, maybe hasn't been necessarily running everything through official channels.
Mm-hmm.
And although Starling has been trying to be accommodating, there's a limit when it comes to strictures or rules for allowing impromptu things to happen. So there's a tension happening here where, I mean, the people want Parsons' material, and Tuesday is the one propping this up. And they're coming into conflict a lot more. There are sides that are sort of hardening between what Bonnie and what Starling are doing, trying to sort of keep things calm and maintain things within the lines. And what Parson is doing, trying to keep the people entertained and to keep the community happy. And within all of this, we have Guinevere on the side. I think this is probably causing, like, this is a perspective from the outside. It's causing questions from along the community too. I think more people are going to Guinevere with problems that stand just outside of society. They're trying to figure out how they feel now that they're being exposed to things from the outside. I think Parker is kind of getting whirled up in the storm of all of this. This entire thing, it's affecting the community, but also Tuesday. Tuesday's getting wrapped up in this. Tuesday's contributing material to all of this. Now, I guess that's the question is, there's a storm brewing here. Whether or not they intend it, Tuesday is contributing to whipping up a fury. Like, how's Parker viewing all of this?
So I think in this case, Parker is... I almost want to say Parker's, like, running interference with Starling. Just, like, trying to, keep the establishment's gaze from landing too heavily on what's going on. Like, I think that he is really trying to, like, maybe... I don't think that Parker's, like, a good enough lawyer or anything like that, or orator to be able to, like, fully bring, the establishment around on what's going on. But I think that, like, his almost naive charm kind of keeps Starling and the other council members, like, they decide to turn a little bit more of a blind eye to, not crack down on the performances and just let things continue to go as they are progressing.
Cool.
And I drew a 7, which is you lied to your friend.
Oh, that's fun. What's the lie? How are we looking?
I think Parker is still, like, they try not to hold a grudge or anything like that, but this is the 2000s gritty reboot. And so, like, Parker can't stop thinking about that time that Tuesday chose Parson over them. And I think there's an instance where, like, wherever Twos and Parker are staying, like, Twos is out and about and doing something when Parson comes calling. And Parson is like, hey, I've got a gig tonight the next town over. I was wondering if Tuesday wanted to come with. And Parker's like, yeah, I'll tell Twos. No worries. And then Tuesday comes back and is like, so, anything interesting happened today? Anybody come calling? And Parker's like, nope, nothing interesting. Nobody came by. And they do what they normally do on that particular day, or what they had originally planned. And Parson goes the next town over and performs without Tuesday.
Nice.
That feels really mean, but...
This is why we're here.
Yeah.
The cracks are beginning to show.
Yeah.
Okay. So once more we repeat that draw, but we'll get to place this card face up near this circle of salt. So this will foreshadow what our motivations are in the central conflict. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so here I am looking at a 2 of hearts. Okay, 2 of hearts states here that, of course, following in line with this, you argued with your friend. I mean, I think this is easy. I think Two's found out. Parson came back, and I mean, first thing you do is you go over and you ask, hey, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
I think Two's is completely blindsided by this because, Parson, I feel like they're a straight shooter. I don't think they would, misrepresent something, and I don't think Twos would think they would either.
Yeah.
So they hear the story that they left a message with Parker, and Twos goes and checks with Parker to say, like, hey, what happened? Did this slip your mind? What's going on here? Like, what did you do with this?
Yeah, and Parker, I don't think Parker can lie twice about this. Like, I think he does feel a little guilty about what happened. So he comes clean, but I don't think that makes things any better.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Like, I think Twos in this case feels slighted because, I mean, it's their career. It's what they've been building for. It's what they've been getting into trouble over. So I think it's one of those things where they're like, okay, and we're living in the same place, right? It's almost like a pressure cooker now, where you have Twos and Parker, and like I think Twos does try to make nice, but there's just an inherent tension that they can't let go of now, knowing that Parker was willing to pull that.
Yeah. Whew. And coming on the heels of that, I drew the Queen, which is your friend gave you romantic advice. I'm trying to decide who the romantic advice applies to. It has to foreshadow the future, and I'm thinking about the future as well, and I don't know. Like, I don't think Parker is interested in any of the people that we have on the board, so I think the romantic advice may have to do with how to turn somebody down politely. But also, like, Parker and Tuesday are kind of circling each other a little bit, so...
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know if it's, like, a begrudging giving of advice.
Man, okay, so how about this? Like, Parker's been making moves with the council and kind of been forced into that position, but I think because of that sort of fresh-facedness, right? I think Parker has probably also gained some popularity there because, you're not mired in the local culture. You have a fresh perspective just, out there. So you can say some things that people wouldn't otherwise be able to say because they feel lashed to what's already there. I don't know. Could be Bonnie, could be Starling. What you think?
I think it's interesting if it's Starling.
Sure. So I think in this case, Starling probably showed some interest because, it may not be like straight competence, but you've got like kind of the moxie almost to speak. And even if it may not be totally right, like that's something that can be cultivated, or that's something that can be directed. And I think at first it was just, how do we get this person into this position to help? And then it started to graduate to something more. And like Starling started to show interest, which sounds like it wasn't reciprocated.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Parker is particularly interested in Starling in that way, but has to maintain kind of a good working relationship with her and is just flummoxed at what to do. And it's like, Tuesday, you know people, you know stories, surely you know what to do here.
Man, I think what it is it's not even purposeful. I think because of Tuesday and just the trouble that they've been in, I think they just have the wrong read on Starling. I think they give Parker bad advice accidentally.
Oh God, a picture is forming in my head now. We'll have to see how it plays out, but a picture is forming in my head.
God intentionally gives Parker bad advice and causes problems for Parker.
Yeah.
Poor Parker.
These memories provoke a jolt of emotion so strong that I momentarily forget I'm dead, and I think the emotion... Oh... Is it betrayal? Like, I feel not... Maybe betrayal's too strong, but just, like, feeling like Tuesday pulled away from him, and in doing so, like, let Parker down.
Like disappointment, you know?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
just like you reach out so hard and it turns out the person that you're leaning on is not a good support.
Yeah.
Oof.
I'm so sorry.
No, this is so fair. I am so here for this. I am eating and I am living. My crops may not be growing, but it's a lot of fun.
Oh.
Poor Twos. As Twos completes the ritual of water, the weather begins to change. I think. So this is again what this seen, heard, and smelled. I choose to think that this town, the settlement that this is away from, the more established area, we're probably not very far from the coast, leaning on the world of the dead being sort of like a beach shore. I think what it is the sky, even though it's bright out, it starts to turn odd colors, like sort of like the coming tide of a tornado or of a hurricane, that darkening, but not even sheer darkness, but an oddness, almost a green to the sky, as would be with the deep sea. I think what's heard is just the low rumble through the ground and the crackle. The sounds of civilization have started to melt as people have seen and felt what's coming on and begun to duck away. The wind is picking up. That smell, even distant from the shore, it's still within reach. I think salt starts to come through the air.
Ooh. Oh, that's good.
Okay. Whew. We move on now to fire and air. Here we have the magical link. So, as the living, Twos will place their right index finger on the star coin. That's those beads from earlier, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
I think this object is so important to Tuesday because, to some extent, the journey and travels are a lot of what Tuesday's being consists of. That's their part of experience. And so seeing this is like a physical representation of those adventures that they went on with Parker, and shows them outside of their writing that what they did together means something to them and has been collected. I think Tuesday drew from a lot of Parker's different beads when putting this together, recalling sort of where they came from, what they were, how they were made, who gave them to Parker for things that Tuesday knew about, at least, and tried to put them together into this representation of that, as a strong focus and also just as a strong sense of meaning. So,
question.
Yes.
Did Parker give you these beads all at once, or did he give them to you piecemeal?
I think it was piece by piece.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that's the import, but there's something the dead gets to do with this too.
Yes, I get to turn over the star coin tails up. There is a secret about this object that your friend does not know, and I think the secret is Parker snuck the beads back and went to Guinevere and had these beads enchanted with a charm for good luck.
Oh.
And then put them all back just where he found them. Just as like a little, Guinevere was like, these are so small, they're not going to hold a lot of magic. And Parker's like, it's okay, just every little bit helps. Like, just having something to tip the scales towards Tuesday finding the right line to put in, their poem, or finding inspiration or, finding what they're looking for.
Damn. We are composing a tragedy.
Yeah.
Here we come with the ritual of fire. So, to summon the dead into conversation with the living, both friends recall the death. This section establishes the cause, or if it's already been established, it adds complicating details. We haven't got to that, so this will be fun.
I have an idea. So
I would love to hear this idea when it comes to that. I'm so looking forward to this idea. First, I will invoke fire with the following 3 motions. To form an invoking pentagram of fire, I'll place my index finger on the spirit point of the pentagram. Then, moving towards fire, I'll trace the entire pentagram with my finger. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The invocation has been drawn. Next, I move the star coin to the fire point of the pentagram, which I will do here.
A word from beyond, unexpected.
Unexpected. Very, very interesting. Next, now that that star coin has been moved, I will slide the circle coin counterclockwise to the south, the cardinal direction of fire. And imagine me humming, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The deck has been shuffled.
Yes. For this one, we use the suit of clubs.
Yep.
Okay. So, this one starts with the dead.
I draw 2 cards and look at them and answer the following questions. I drew 2 and the Jack. And the questions that I answer are, how did I die? In old age or in youth, by natural or unnatural causes, violently or at peace. So, material need and a careless mistake. Oh, those both fit very perfectly. So, I think this happens shortly after Tuesday gives Parker their advice. And I think a material need. I think Parker's gone out to go grocery shopping. And I think the careless mistake is they're just not paying attention to the surroundings. And I think we see Starling's brother, and he is also a stoat. He's significantly larger than Parker, and I think he is pissed because of Parker's callous dismissal of his sister's feelings. I think he's younger than Starling, much more impetuous. And I think they get into a scuffle. And in the course of that scuffle, Parker hits his head on the stones of the pavement. And it's not that Starling's brother is trying to kill Parker, but he, through the process of roughing Parker up, does cause Parker's death.
Oof. Jeez. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
No. I can't believe bad advice. This is so sad.
Yeah.
God. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I have to draw 2 cards now and figure out how this goes. Okay, so I get to draw 2 cards, look at them, and answer the following questions using the details that correspond to the cards in the Fire Legend. So let's see what 2 I get. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I have drawn the Queen and 6 of clubs. The Queen indicates a well-meaning error. I'm getting called out, hello? And 6 indicates a celebrity or popular person. So, I get to describe the events of the day that Parker died. Did I witness it or hear about it secondhand? How did I feel and what did I do? Boy, I have an easy answer for this one. Yeah, so like Tuesday, trusting Parker to be able to handle his business, went off on another show with Parson. Of course, business, right? I think they sort of did a makeup show in That Town Over.
Mm-hmm.
So Tuesday wasn't there. They heard about it when they got back. They got back later that day. I am almost certain it's two popular figures that are tied together, both of them from the outside. There is no doubt in my mind that this has caused a massive ruckus. I wouldn't put it down to like a riot necessarily, but like if Parker has been a fairly popular person in this community, then I could see some people being rattled. I could see Guinevere maybe not being happy about losing a very good apprentice. This could cause a rift. It could even be to the level that Starling's brother got a curse placed upon him by Guinevere in response for Parker's death. And I don't think it's like a thing that's happened right now, but I think it's one, like, justice has not been granted in the communal sense, but justice has been set upon Starling's brother by Guinevere in response to this. Then that's still yet to happen. The nature of that curse is ill-defined. It is just a curse. I'm thinking this is becoming a monkey's paw situation for Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good God. I think with this too, like, Starling's brother was probably a person of some repute in the community. It's like almost a dynasty of people that have been around. It could be even that Starling has been inhabiting the local community. I think Starling's brother has been in a city nearby. So what informed them was coming back to this, and it's causing scandal not just here, but over there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, sheesh.
Yep.
Right. I'll be typing this out. As for how Tuesday felt and what they did, I mean, distraught, obviously, because, you know, they gave that advice and they didn't expect it to end in Parker's death. Advice is advice. My God, what a reaction. But as for what Tuesday did, I mean, I think that's what drove them out. They went to Guinevere. I think they jumped on board with what Guinevere was doing. Wanted to see if they could perhaps further what was happening sort of in revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And also because, you know, they're not in the right state of mind. Even if they had tension with Parker, and even if they still had things to work out, like, that's unfinished business. They got to deal with that now. And they don't know any other way to do it. Okay, so I think it's down to the dead.
Yep. In response to these memories, I'm starting to catch a glimpse back into the world of the living. I think up until this point, even though there's the memory of the salt smell, there hasn't been much in the way of, like, motion. Like, the air has been stagnant. But now I feel a breeze on my face. And I look and I can see the sky taking on a similar hue as to what the sky looks like where Tuesday is. And I hear the rustling of leaves in the wind, even though I can't see the tree yet. But I feel the pull to move forward, to move towards that rustling.
Nice. As Tuesday completes the ritual of fire, hints of the dead realm are gathering within the circle. For what is seen, heard, and smelled. I think the storm without has been drawing some of this, but I think with the platform itself, even though it's in the air, suspended on a tree, I think Tuesday starts to feel a tide, as if the platform has become a raft upon the sea. That smell of salt is all around. The sound of waves is closing in loud, almost crashing. And I think they start to see just that. Not just the surface, but also the depths starting to climb around, almost within, as if it were a wave preparing to crash overhead.
Ooh, love it.
Okay, so we have performed the rituals. It's time to summon the dead. Okay, Tuesday is about to conjure Parker into the circle of salt. So we need to set the scene for this act of magic by answering the following questions. 1. How much time has passed since Parker died? I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's been that long. I think it was a get up and go. It may have been only a few days after, because Tuesday had to get the materials, but I think they immediately shook a leg.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening right now? I think the community is still being rattled by both Guinevere's very public curse and then all of the proceedings that need to take place to determine what happens with Starling's brother. I think people are distracted by this. I think for Tuesday in particular, all of the stuff that they were up to with Parson has been more or less put on hold. They've just shut their career down. They've instead started devoting themselves to completing this. For what led up to performing this ritual, it was just that. Gathering, buying, begging, borrowing, bartering, and stealing to gather everything that they needed in order to get this together. For how they acquired the power to summon the dead, it was... I think Tuesday gave some of themselves over to Guinevere. Like some of their life force or a part of their soul or something inherent. I think even actually what it was the record of their travels with Parker.
Oh no!
I think they gave that over in exchange for the power to bring Parker back. Right. With that, the star coin is turned back over, heads up, on the fire point of the pentagram. Tuesday places their finger on that stack of beads and repeats a magical formula 3 times. Beloved Parker, thou who perished at the hands of the brother of Starling, through these beads I conjure thee. Beloved Parker, thou who perished at the hands of Starling's brother, through these beads I conjure thee. Beloved Parker, thou who perished at the hands of Starling's brother, through these beads I conjure thee.
And now Parker appears in the circle, and I think they're sopping wet. There's rivulets of black water running down Parker's face, making it look like they've been crying these dark, dark tears. And there's some garishly colored bone white and electric blue kelp like draped over them as though they'd been drawn into the undertow, drawn through the seaweed, and then suddenly grabbed and dragged up to the top of the ocean.
And I think Tuesday looks upon this like there's horror in that expression, but at the same time, they knew what they were getting into. They understood what this would cause. They gave over what they could to bring it so. I think they look at Parker, and after a moment, we have unfinished business. I never got to ask you why. Why all of this? Why did you lie to me? And more to that point, I'm sharing this with you because I need to know everything of what happened. It's a mix. I'm very mixed up, but I would have thought more about it, about what I told you, if I just knew, if I knew what caused that. And if I hadn't, then it wouldn't have led to all of this. I need to know what happened to you after all of that, to bring that man to justice. So, speak.
You can't know everything. As hard as you try, you can't know everything, and if justice is to be served, then I'm gonna be the one to serve it.
Oh, boy. Yep, them's fighting words.
Yep.
Okay, ritual's going wrong. Good stuff. Great stuff. Time for the ritual of air. The living and the dead draw weapons for the final battle. I think Tuesday's realized that Parker is going to carry out justice himself. And this is maybe not the best. There's regrets. There's a lot of regrets happening right now.
Yeah.
Faced with this drowned visage, Tuesday steps back. Will invoke air with the following 3 motions. So first, to form an invoking pentagram of air, place my index finger on the water point of the pentagram. Moving towards air, trace the pentagram with the finger here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has been traced. Second, we'll move the star coin to the air point of the pentagram. I think Tuesday is hurrying around the edge. This platform feels smaller and smaller as they realize they should have constructed more room. They only thought about what they needed immediately. They didn't think about what would happen afterwards. And they're shuffling around as they move this coin. So we'll move this to the east.
A word from beyond.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Inevitable.
Inevitable. Oh no. Great. Cool. Awesome. Inevitable. Okay. We'll yeah, cool. Get this to air. That's the word. Get that coin in the right direction. Went a little out of order in the ritual, but that's fine. That's the mind state.
Yep.
Okay, so now we need spades.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. We'll get to draw 4 cards each, of which we will only use 3. And for those, that means the weapons that we use in this battle. So I'll go ahead and grab 4. Let's draw 4. Yay.
There we go. 4.
Cool. Okay, so we have the air legend for what's available for us to use in this battle. Each weapon card has a literal meaning and an abstract meaning, which we can choose which we prefer to use when we play these cards. So,
I'm dying, Squirtle.
oh boy. Oh, this spicy. Oh no. This is so bad. God, this has gone wrong so quickly. So we need to flip that star coin into the center of the pentagram so it lands on the table. If it lands heads up, I go first. If it lands tails up, you go first. Of course, we don't have a physical coin, so I'm going to use this D4. You want odds or evens?
Odds.
Righto, D4. D4 comes up with odds. Parker goes first.
Oh, boy.
Starting with the winner, place a card face up in the circle and describe how that weapon is used against your friend. I will respond to this attack with another card and description of battle, and we'll keep going until we've used 3 weapons each.
All right. I'm going to play a 3, which is a vial of blood or loyalty. I'm going with loyalty. My weapon is a plaintive look on my face.
Oh, great.
And I say, you have to let me fix this. You have to let me finish this.
The guilt.
Yeah, I'm trying to use your loyalty to me against you.
Ever more powerful. Good God. Let's see what I got here. Okay. In response, I will play the king. I would choose to call this instilling doubts. I think Choose steps back towards the edge of the platform, trying very hard to stare Parker down from this place of weakness, frankly, at the edge of the circle. This is not a position that they're familiar with, being without words, but they still speak up. It's already being handled. You don't need to do this personally. Guinevere has already laid down a spiritual judgment. The community is already working through what will happen next. But if you do this, it will break everything apart.
I'm going to play the 10, which is community allies or solidarity. And I shake my head and I say, no, everyone will be with me. I know it.
Oh God. You were popular.
Yep.
Jesus. All right. I think then it will be the 8 of spades. I think twos is recognizing that they're losing the rhetorical battle, so they move immediately to chanting. They snatch the beads forward from where they were and hold them towards Parker, beginning to invoke a spell to try and tie Parker back down to the land of the dead.
I'm going to play the Jack, which is an animal or passion, and I am going to struggle against these bonds, but I'm going to say, you went to all of these lengths to bring me back. You felt so strongly you were willing to do all of this. You can't stop here.
God. Oh, what do I have left? This is so funny. So I'm going to reveal the other 2 cards that I have in my hand. Just for effect. One of them is the 2, which is a blindfold or darkness. The other one, which really is extremely funny, in a cosmic sense, is a map of the dead realm or travel. And you know what travel means to Tuesday right now?
What's that?
If it sucks, hit the bricks.
Oh my God.
They just they recognize this is out of control, and they're not even anywhere close to an apprentice. Tuesday is a layman in this. They invoked this ritual having no idea what would happen and having no plan for what would happen afterwards outside of this fallback, and it's not working. I think they turn and they just take flight.
Oh. All right. We've each used 3 weapons.
God. Okay. So, get to move the star coin to the spirit point of the pentagram now. I think that will probably provoke one more word, will it not?
It will. A word from beyond. Justice.
Justice. God dang. Right. I think it's clear who won this one. How about you? I think Parker guilted Tuesday into giving up.
Yeah, I think so. I feel so bad about that as a player, but
No, it's very good though.
God.
It's so very, very good. So, ye the victor. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No. Go. It's your moment. You get to describe the moment of your victory and how the central conflict resolves.
I think Tuesday backs away, starts backing away, and then turns and steps out of the salt circle. But does Tuesday wear shoes or go barefoot?
I think they wear shoes.
One of their shoes scuffs up the line of salt, breaking the circle as they retreat, and that releases a rush of salty air out into the world, and a wave of black water comes from nowhere and washes the rest of the salt away. And the water starts spilling down from the platform. And Parker is now free in the land of the living.
God. This is just absolute havoc, right? This is just washing over the whole of the community, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Tuesday, they're in a blind panic. They have no idea where to go. Like, they don't know how far this is going to reach. They just fly home. They don't know where else to go. They hide. I think that water, as it washes over everything, an impossible sea in the middle of the land, I think Tuesday goes with it. I think they drown.
Oh no.
But I mean, that's all it is. Like, justice is a matter for the living, and it's left behind in the afterlife. I think as Tuesday comes to, they're back on that sensation. The seas are around, but they're on the raft they constructed up in the trees, transported back towards the waters. The salt circle was broken, but that doesn't remove the physical properties of it. It's still adrift. So I guess the question is whether or not Parker rides with them.
Here's my pitch.
Mm-hmm.
My pitch is that the water washes away Starling's brother, in addition to several other people in the community, and once Starling's brother has been claimed by the surf and the salt, Parker kind of slumps forward on the platform, which is now adrift in the sea, and he looks at Tuesday, and he's crying, and he reaches out to Tuesday, and Tuesday is free to do what they will.
Yeah. I mean, I think in this moment Tuesday realizes what's happened, and they've been apart. I think Tuesday will take Parker's hand.
Is that where we end?
Yes, I think that is the end of the ritual.
Oh boy.
Good Lord.
A lot sure did happen.
My goodness, did a lot happen. Right. Well, friends, that was Dead Friend, a game of necromancy. Again, this was by Lucian Kahn. You can find that on itch.io. I do recommend it. This was my first time going through it, and, for putting something together in about 2 hours of time or so, like, so much. I don't have words. It's a lot. That's intense, and I can easily see how this can go many ways. Like, we went with fairly like high drama. I could see this easily going into other places too. It's potent. I love Oracle sort of games like this, especially, and I've been in a tarot kind of mood, so it's good. A little summer horror,
Yeah.
Yeah. As always, you can find me on cohost.org at MissingNim. You can support the show at ftlcast.com or at patreon.com/ftlcast. Great time. I would recommend you go look at it. There's things that you can access just outside of these in addition to that. My God, this is great. And joining me again in August, do you have any parting words?
I've been August. I'm emotionally destroyed. You can still find me on Tumblr at Strange Harpy, Harpydora on Blue Sky, Harpydora on itch.io.
Ugh, lovely Lou. Remember to have a backup plan if you ever summon your friends from the dead. Thanks.
Shall we clap?
I think it's clapping time.